Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so grateful that you chose to spend your time with us, whether it is 9 in the morning like it is for Dr. Stan, or much later in the evening if you're in Spain or somewhere else in Europe. But really grateful to see all of your names in this chat here. And again, we're really excited for this Donorbox Ministry Matters webinar to talk about your church and how you can cultivate a culture of generosity and inspire giving. My name is Jenna, and I am the nonprofit advocate here at Donorbox. And today we've got a guest of honor, Dr. Stan DeKoven. Dr. Stan DeKoven is the founder of Vision International Global Ministries and the founder and president of Vision International University. He is an internationally known educator, author of over 60 books. That's incredible. Speaker, pastor to pastors, and a licensed marriage and family therapist. So welcome, Dr. Stan, and we're so glad to have you here today.
It's an honor to be here. You know, the culture of giving is something that every local church, every ministry really needs to have folks that are, learn to be truly generous givers. And I want to just cover some important points, I think, in regards to that and kind of what causes a lack of that generosity, if you will. I want to look at just 4 primary things today. Number one, just simply the lack of emphasis, which is, as you'll see, a lot of times we're just kind of shy about talking about money, and we'll deal with that a little bit. Number 2 is just ignorance. People don't know what's expected or why they should give and what to give and all of that. Sometimes there's a lack of motivation, and that's part of, as said, you can't lead a horse to water, but you can put salt in their oats. And part of wanting to help people to recognize their role in local church and their role in helping to fund what God is doing is to put a little bit of that salt in their oats. And then the last is not, fully driving or acknowledging the importance of stewardship. And stewardship is such an important thing. So if you move to the first slide there, it should have been up there already on this, what I just covered. And the second one is lack of emphasis. So.
And Dr. Stan, for just a moment before I officially pass the baton over to you, I do want to talk a little bit. No, that's all right. I do want to talk a little bit about our partnership with Vision International University, and then I'll officially pass it over to you for all that good stuff. Okay. But just so folks know a little bit more about what you do. So Vision International University has partnered with Donorbox's online donation platform to help solve one of the most pressing challenges of church leaders today. So Donorbox Ministry Matters helps your ministry by providing a powerful giving platform and services to keep church funds flowing and ministries active in spreading the gospel. And for folks who are not familiar with Donorbox, just a tiny bit about us. So for those of you who are not familiar, Donorbox is a software that makes fundraising easy and secure for nonprofits and churches. We offer simple and budget-friendly tools to help churches manage their fundraising efforts and build stronger connections with their supporters. And so far, we've helped over 50,000 organizations across the globe raise more than $1.6 billion in donations. And our donation tools were designed to make consistent tithes and offerings easier than ever for your members and even more reliable for your church. So just a little bit about us and our partnership here. Now, as Dr. Stan said, we have got amazing things to talk about today. We talked very briefly about overcoming the challenges of the church, the importance of stewardship, and then the answer. And then I'll come in and talk about how we can help you increase tithes and offerings through Donorbox. I'll show you some great faith-based donation page examples. And then we've got a couple of announcements. And then please stick around for the end because we do have a free gift for you. So you do not want to miss this. And then we'll wrap it up with Q&A. And
hey, do I get a free gift as well? I mean, it's...
Of course you do. You bet.
All right. Sounds good.
Now, just to let everybody know, you will be getting the recording to the session via email later on this week. So keep an eye out for your inbox. You will be getting the links to the resources we talk about today, as along with the recording. So if you cannot make it through the whole session, I hope you can, but please know that you will have this in your inbox later in the week. Okay, Dr. Stan, officially over to you, and we'll move it on to the major challenges of giving, right?
Yes. So as I mentioned, the major challenges include really 4 primary points. The lack of emphasis on giving, ignorance. People just don't know what they should do or how they should go about doing it. In some cases, a lack of motivation, and then not really fully acknowledging the importance of stewardship, which is really speaking about time, talent, and treasure. We'll talk about all 3. So the next slide then, Jenna, thank you. So the first is the lack of emphasis. And, many churches, ministries just do not provide a healthy or comprehensive view of stewardship. And really what I mean by that is that because of either, as a pastor, as a leader, we're just not comfortable. I mean, we want to preach, we want to teach, we love people. And the last thing we want to do really is pick people's pockets. But we do realize that without adequate funding, it's really impossible to see healthy church growth. And so helping people to understand their part, their role is very important. So we often have people that are more of, there are folks that are observant church members. They notice the emphasis in many local churches on giving. So let me just look at the other side of this. It is interesting that for a lot of local churches, the only message that people hear every week is a message on giving. They don't hear it on prayer. They don't hear it on the study of the word. They hear it on giving. Now, this is, again, I think primarily in more independent churches, but it's often become a trend in churches all over the world. On Sunday morning, there's going to be some sort of mini message on giving. And the fact is that those many messages have not really produced significant change in terms of people's giving habits. It is still true that it's about 5% of people actually tithe within local churches. Most people say they do, but they actually don't. They tip more than they tithe. And so I think it's important to recognize that some people, because of the fairly recent emphasis on giving, it's created a certain amount of cynicism in people. That is the assumption that, that's all the church is interested in. Now, again, I know, having pastored, leading organizations, again, we need resources to be able to do what God's called us to do. We need resources to be able to see our vision and the vision that God's given for a community to be able to move forward. But that's not the emphasis of we're not trying to get people's money. We want people to be free to experience the joy that God can give because they become true, generous givers. And some, they're cynical. They think the pastor's got too much. They look around their church building and, man, it looks like they've got a beautiful chandelier or all that. So the church doesn't need my money. But again, it's not an issue so much of giving for the sake of giving. It's giving so that you can become free and that your heart can reflect the transformation that God has done in your life. And for some folks, there's also then just a fear of exploitation. Most people want to be used by God, but often the consumer mentality of the average member of a church creates, fear of being taken advantage of. Thus, we have to be transparent in terms of why are we trying to get people to give, but also we must be accountable. And I find that oftentimes churches have difficulty in those 2 areas. We'll talk more about that. Jenna, the next slide, please. The second thing that we mentioned, ignorance in any area of life is not bliss. But unfortunately, a lot of people, maybe they've just never really been taught on the importance of giving, why we give, what stewardship's all about. For some people, it's tithing, smithing. They don't want it. They don't know what tithing is. They They don't know, what percentage they're supposed to give because they've never been taught. Or some folks have been taught on the other extreme that giving is all about getting, that we give to get, versus the concept that we give to give, because we have received so much already from God. I mean, we've received all blessings in Christ Jesus. That based upon that, it's now our honor, our privilege to give. And so part of the responsibility, as all of us know, as pastors, as leaders, is we are to educate, inform the community of faith that we're responsible for in the area of tithing and giving. Whether you see tithing as a law, see tithing as a principle, however you see that, it's really the heart of the matter is to help people come to a place of being truly generous givers. Next slide then, Jen, if you could. For some people, there's a lack of motivation, and is they don't have faith for this. It does take faith and in some ways courage to become a generous giver. I mean, we look at our bank account and we know how much we earn, or at least we should, and we balance that against our responsibility really to God and to the church. And oftentimes there can be a great deal of fear or anxiety in people's hearts about the whole concept of giving. So part of it is really, it's helping to build people's faith, to help them put their trust really in God. Has God not provided all things for us? Can we trust him with our money? And I found, certainly for myself, I mean, people will ask me, do you tithe? I said, well, if you mean, do I give only 10%? I haven't given only 10% in years and years and years. Because I found not only can you not outgive God, God blesses, but it's, again, not an issue of the amount, it's the issue of the heart that matters. The second concern there for a lot of people is just fear. The fear that there's not going to be enough for their own family to pay their bills, etc. And so, again, what I found is that when we give generously to the Lord, it seems as though at the end of the month, things are better. We've got more money in the bank. I've seen that proven over and over and over again. Part of, Malachi is test the Lord. Put him to the test. Try it out. And you'll find that you can trust that God is truly good. Now, I know some folks that because of their religious piety, I mean, they give their 10% and it's right down to the penny. They're not free either. I mean, I believe with all of my heart that God wants us to come to a level of freedom in our stewardship so that really we can be led by Holy Spirit to give and to give generously. So slide 5 then, we're going to just talk a little bit about the importance of stewardship. Again, there's time, talent, treasure. We trust, that God has given us a certain amount of days. We know that we have a certain amount of time that we're here on earth. And the time that we have, it's not infinite. It's, some would say strongly it's set by God. But either way, however you look at that, we have a certain amount of time. And God does want us to use our time wisely. And I think for a lot of churches, we find that the 80-20 rule still rules. That is, 80% of the people do 20%, or 20% of the people do 80% of the work in a church. 20% of the people are your primary tithers and generous givers. The goal is really to kind of shift that if you can. That's why the importance of teaching, training, educating people on what Scripture actually says about generous giving is really key. Talent is also necessary. Of course, we've all received certain gifts by God. And those gifts include things like in the Romans 12 gifts, one of them is the gift of generosity. The gift of generosity presupposes, if you will, the gift of making. And there are certain people within our congregations that they are uniquely gifted at making money. Well, again, we want to encourage them to use their gift to bring glory to God and to help within the local church. And then, of course, there is our treasure. And ultimately, we remember that God owns it all, that everything that we have is truly a gift from God. And so I think, the emphasis really of the New Testament is found in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, when, Paul he's really thanking the Corinthians for their generous giving. He talks about the importance of making sure that that people learn to sow, not sparingly, but sow bountifully, because if they'll sow bountifully, they'll also reap bountifully. And Jesus was real clear that the issues of the heart are related to our generosity, to our giving. And so our focus in the local church and beyond is to do more than just create generous givers, but generous givers that recognize that their giving is what is used to help expand the kingdom of God. And so the last slide there for me, it's the answer to the above, really, for most of us, is you need to have a plan that includes finding ways to emphasize healthy stewardship in every aspect of the church. There's a dear friend of mine, Dick Edick. He's done a course for us on generous giving. And but he was a stewardship specialist. He was a fundraiser for Baptist General Conference for many, many years with Cru, Campus Crusade for Christ. And one of the things he used, the term, is that out of every water fountain, if you will, within a church, you need to be able to drink a little bit of healthy stewardship. That so whether it's in Sunday school lessons, if you have a new believers class or an introduction to the church class, all of those, that's where you want to be seeding the teaching, the training for people, that they need to understand from the very beginning of their walk with the Lord, that part of their responsibility to the church is to be a generous giver. And again, as I've found, the more generous you are, the freer you are, and really the more blessed you become. And so, but it helps if you've got a comprehensive system to be able to use that will help you in your stewardship campaign, in your fundraising, in your giving. And that's one of the reasons I turned to Donorbox and to this, I find it to be a very flexible system. For instance, and I'll just finish with this, if that's okay, Jenna. I mean, I don't know how my time is, but maybe a couple more minutes. Anyway, we just got contacted by we work all over the world. Vision does. We're in about 140 countries where we've planted Bible schools, training centers, and we do distance education programs. Well, our director for Ukraine, Ukraine has been going through some rough times. And in fact, about 2 months ago, I was just in Poland working with refugees. And our director for that area has been contacted by some leadership they actually are living in Poland, but primarily focused on Ukraine. There's such post-traumatic stress happening because of the war. They want to develop ministry opportunities, train people to be able to to minister effectively to folks who are going through this horrible time in Ukraine. It's thousands and thousands of folks that have been affected by this war. Well, but we are able to set up a special giving campaign. We've already gotten one of our board of directors actually said, hey, I'll commit $5,000 in a matching fund. So we're in the process. This week, we'll be setting it up in our Donorbox system, a special giving opportunity. And it's just the system itself makes it so simple for us to be able to effectively raise money for a really wonderful project. In fact, I hope some of you might be interested in giving. Anyway, but it's a wonderful project to be able to help. So, to start with, it's a matching of 5,000, and so we're going to try and make it to 10. It'll do special training. We'll actually send a team into Ukraine to do training on the ground to prepare people to minister to folks who are suffering because of the war. Well, that's what can happen when you have a flexible and powerful giving platform like you have in Donorbox. So anyway, that's really what I had to share. I hope that's helpful to you. Generous givers is the goal. It's not the legalistic, you tithe or you die kind of thing. It's much more, hey, here's what really needs to happen. You need to be set free. And the way to be set free in your heart, I mean, it's open hands, open heaven, if you will, open heart is what's essential for people to be really free in their walk with God. God cares about our money because he cares about our hearts. And as leaders, we also need to care about people's giving habits, because that's one of the ways that you can determine whether or not their hearts are really submitted to God. So Jenna, with that, let me turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stan, and for that lovely testimonial as well. So much of what you said resonated with me, and I would love to hear from people in the chat what resonated with them the most. When you were talking about fear, that really struck a chord with me as a young person who goes to church, and for someone who has worked for many years to establish her career. I wasn't always sure what my income would look like, or how I could buy the next batch of groceries, or whatever it may be. And there was a point where I let go and let God, and really just trusted in that freedom. And like you said, he always provides. And for me, that really struck a chord. So everyone in the chat, if there's something that Dr. Stan presented that you really resonate with, and with your church, and you see with your community and your congregation, we would love to see it here. So thank you very much for that. So how do you continue to encourage this generosity through the giving experience? Well, Dr. Stan set the scene for this pretty well already. It's something that's essential in today's digital age, and that is online giving. And in the coming years, we will continue to see shifts in generosity in giving and in church fundraising. I mean, just in general, there's always shifts with the times and uncertainties and things like wars or pandemics and whatever that may be. We'll always see shifts. But by incorporating an online option into your church's fundraising efforts, you can make a big difference in your congregation's ability to tithe and donate. And it allows people to give at any time from anywhere when they're feeling moved to give. But especially during church service, right? And a good giving experience, it builds that trust between your church and your givers. And churches with an online giving option receive an average of 32% more in donations than those without. So this is a significant increase that can make a huge impact on your church's efforts, right? And you're going to hear this as a theme. By making it easy and convenient for your congregation to give online, on-site, and on the spot, you're opening up new opportunities for them to support your church's mission, get closer to God, and support your programs as well. So a lot of really great things to be said about this. And I'm seeing some action in the chat here. This is great. Wonderful. So speaking of online giving, just really quick, I do want to dive into why it's so important for churches. So donation pages, they're highly shareable, unlike other forms of donating. So if you have a huge global audience, or even just a community that is spread out, or you don't have a brick and mortar, you can reach more people and receive more support. And as we mentioned earlier, your congregation will appreciate that convenience of being able to give anywhere at any time, because it shows that you're thinking of them. But beyond this, online giving provides these valuable benefits beyond the convenience and the accessibility. With an online giving platform, you can track important data such as donation size, timing, and the information of your givers. And this data helps you identify giving patterns, track progress, and most importantly, steward your givers and fine-tune your communications to really maximize your efforts. Excuse me. So at Donorbox, we talk a lot about donation forms. I am a donation form nerd. Not a lot of people can say that. But this is a topic that is relevant to most organizations and churches for sure. But for for clarity, I want to clarify. So we throw around several terms a lot: donate button, donation pages, donation form. So I like to use this analogy. Your donate button is like a doorbell to your home. Your donors click it, much like a guest rings a doorbell when coming to your home. And then your donation page is like your welcome mat. It provides a nice, welcoming place for them to stand, and they can look around and get a feel for what you're all about. And then your donation form is like crossing that threshold into your home. And that's where they make that donation. It's their opportunity to put a foot into your church. So just as you prepare your home for a guest, as a church, you want to keep those things on point too. Keep your button, your donation page, and your giving form up to date and welcoming for all of your visitors. So to create a welcoming environment for your givers, you want to ensure, first and foremost, that your donation form is accessible to all. So accessible to all regardless of their level of ability, considering the diverse range of abilities and ages within your congregation, within your church community. You want it to be customizable to align with your church's branding and aesthetics. So when you close your eyes and you think about your church, how does it feel to you? Does it feel bright and warm? Does it feel cozy and dim? Does it feel vibrant and playful? When you step into your church, what is that feeling that it gives you? And it may sound silly, but your donation page and your donation form should reflect that. It should be a mirror of everybody's experience within your church. It should also be quick to locate, navigate, and user-friendly for your givers. It should be simple to set up and manage recurring tithes and donations. It should be mobile friendly because we are increasingly reliant on our smartphones in today's world. Mine is no more than 6 inches away from me almost at all times. And your congregation probably is the same way. And it should also be easy for you and your team, your staff, to manage on the back end, which promotes that efficiency and sustainability so that you can use your time to serve your community. So offering multiple payment options means that your congregation is met with a giving experience that is convenient and user-friendly. I'm going to say convenient and user-friendly a lot here, but it meets them where they are. Again, it shows that you're thinking about your congregation. You want to make this experience good for them. In today's tech-savvy world, people want a simple and straightforward way to donate online, and having multiple payment options is a really great way to achieve this. I mean, we all love to save time and simplify our lives where we can, right? Yes. So that's why digital wallet options such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, Mercado Pago, and more are just essential additions to your donation form. And with just a few taps, your congregation can make that quick and easy donation with no barriers or frustration. And so I just mentioned that your donation page is like your welcome mat. It provides a nice welcoming place for visitors to stand. They can look around and get a feel for what you're all about. So a customizable, ready-to-go Donorbox hosted donation page is a really great option if you don't already have your own website, or it's also an option if you don't want to deal with or pay for those extra added website security certificates as well, which can really be a pain. So these pages are completely secure and easy to make within 15 minutes. And we have churches that use, and organizations that use donation pages like this to create one-off pages for special campaigns too. So whether that be for special projects and programs or campaigns like Dr. Stan was talking about, or mission trips, for example, these pages are really, really great for that. And these pages are particularly effective when you customize them with your compelling text, your storytelling, your mission, your heart, images, video, all rolled into this one lovely page with your donation form off to the side to complement it. And again, imagine this as your home for your church, but online. It should really reflect that feeling. Now, on-site and in-person giving options are also important for churches, right? Let me know in the chat, are you still passing around a giving envelope or a giving basket? Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather today, so I've got a bit of a tickle. I see Erica saying yes, and that's okay. It's great to have the option to pass around the basket, but to remove any barriers. Givers no longer have to remember to carry cash or a checkbook. I know that I never carry cash. Maybe that's a millennial thing, but again, this just removes another barrier to giving. So let's look at some easy, secure, and quick ways your congregation can give on the spot. Yes. Okay. We do see some people. Then that's great. Giving all the options you can is excellent. But first, a great on-site giving option is a QR code. So QR codes are a great way to share your donation page on a bulletin, a giving envelope, the back of a pew, or on an overhead monitor screen in your space of worship. So givers can simply scan the code with the smartphone camera and get redirected to that donation page that I just shared with you. And you can simply add wording next to the QR code that says scan with your phone's camera so people know where it's going, right? And with Donorbox, you can create unlimited campaigns and QR codes for all of them. So if you have 5 different campaigns for 5 different programs, you can create a QR code for as many of those as you would like. So whether you're raising funds for your building renovations, a mission trip, or something else entirely, you can create that unique QR code for each campaign and make giving even more accessible. And my church does this, and they have it on the back of their pews and then up on the overhead monitors when it's time to collect those tithes. And text to give is also a convenient way to ask donors to give during a service. So when you turn on text to give, each campaign will have a unique campaign ID associated with it. And donors can simply text this code or a keyword of your choosing to the phone number, and they'll receive a link to that donation, link to donate. It's really that easy. And donors can also save their information during the donation process. So this means that they can easily repeat their last donation by confirming the transaction via featured text messages without having to fill out the form again. And we'll talk a little bit about our feature Quick Pay a little bit down the line. But so to streamline this process, you can display your text to give number or a short code and that keyword on screens during worship or during even virtual services. Let me know if you're offering virtual services as well. This is a wonderful way to do this. And this just ensures that everyone can easily contribute when it's time to collect offerings. Now, I do want to note that Donorbox Text to Give is currently only available in the United States and Canada. But if you are in one of these countries, it's a user-friendly and efficient way to encourage donors to give. And I always have a little chuckle when our pastor will come up and be like, all right, I wouldn't normally allow this, but everybody take out your phones, right? Since when do people bring phones into service? It's such a modern time now, and we just go ahead and we scan the QR code or we text to give, and it's a moment for all of us to be together in this action to give. And again, it's always funny when he's like, okay, you can take out your phones now. So I love that. And then finally, Donorbox Live Kiosk is a new feature we have available, designed especially for churches like yours. So with Donorbox Live Kiosk, you can create a designated giving station right there in your church lobby or at the entrance of your worship space. And all you need is a tablet that you may already have lying around and a card reader that you can order through us, and you're good to go. So here's how it works. Givers can use their credit or debit cards to make their offering, and just a few taps or a swipe or a dip, depending on what kind of card you have. And it's as simple as paying at the grocery store. It really is. You just swipe or insert your card. There's no fuss and no hassle. So they just choose the amount that they want to give. You capture that information, their email, their first and last name, and that generous donation. And by offering Donorbox Live Kiosk, you're providing this secure and user-friendly way for your congregation to give. I was recently at the Focus on the Family Summit in Colorado Springs, and a lot of people were saying people don't want to donate in our wooden boxes at the front of the worship space anymore. They feel like it's insecure. They are fearful that someone will take the money, whatever that may be. So this kind of solves that problem. Imagine the live kiosk as a replacement for your wooden collection box there. So it's very secure. And plus it streamlines your giving process. It saves you time and effort when it comes to managing donations. And again, you capture that information so that you can steward your donors later on. Now, to better meet the needs of your congregation, it's absolutely crucial to provide giving options that are fast and convenient. By offering these streamlined and effortless ways to give, churches, you can enhance the donation process, you can encourage that regular giving, and ultimately garner greater support. So here is how you can achieve this. So like I mentioned, with Quick Donate, your givers can save their card information when they donate, and then they can easily log back into their account and repeat or update their donation with just a click. So for your regular givers, this saves them a lot of time by not having to re-enter all of their information in their donation form every time that they want to make a contribution. So this is very convenient. And then we also have Donorbox Ultra Swift Pay technology, which makes recurring giving for churches quick and simple by offering those digital wallet payment options. So the giving process is 4 times faster. We have tested it. And again, it just improves this experience for your givers. So this is great if they're making a gift on site or during a service or an event, and there's no need to remember payment details when they use digital wallets like Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, whatever that may be. And this means that there's less of a chance of them dropping out or not giving a donation due to a lengthy giving process. And finally, stewardship. This is my bread and butter, and this is so much of what Dr. Stan was talking about. This is so incredibly important. Now, while faster giving is essential for churches, and you heard me say it a lot, it's even more important to remember the principles of good stewardship. Stewardship is more than just collecting donations. It's about managing those donations in a way that is responsible and effective, in a way that supports your mission and serves and honors God and your congregation. This is so incredibly important. So giving, we know, is a deeply personal and meaningful experience. And Dr. Stan talked about this a lot. And that's why it's vital to provide prompt and personal responses to your givers' generosity. And this starts with issuing tax-compliant donation receipts, which also serves as an acknowledgement of the giver's contribution to your church's mission. But do not stop here. Sending personalized thank you messages makes an even greater impact, and it shows appreciation for every contribution, no matter the size, and helps cultivate strong supporter relationships. And at Donorbox, we deeply understand the value of timely and personalized communication. And our fundraising solution automates receipt and thank you messaging, saving you time and resources, while still ensuring that personal touch for everyone who gave a gift. And by leveraging these automations, you can build that loyal and engaged congregation that supports your mission for years to come, because you are showing that appreciation, and you can continue to do so throughout their time with you. Now, keeping track of your congregation's milestones can be challenging without the right tools as well. And that's where Donorbox Moments comes in. So Donorbox Moments helps churches stay connected with their givers by monitoring their important milestones and activities within your church. So with Moments, you will receive a triggered notification when a giver completes a certain action, whether that's making their first donation, reaching a donation anniversary, whether that's a year or whatever that may be, or increasing their recurring donation as well. So by leveraging Moments and sending personalized communications based on these, you say, Jesse just gave their first gift. Let me send him an email to say thank you. So by leveraging these moments and sending those personalized communications based on this, you can really boost engagement and foster stronger connections because you're showing that you're paying attention, that you care, and that you're grateful. So this is a really nice feature to add that personal touch. All right. Now, I'd like to inspire you with just a few great faith-based donation pages. Here are a few that I came across here. So this first one, as you can see here, Word on Fire is using our embedded form and offers one-time, monthly, and quarterly giving options on their form. And they've matched their donation form to their own branding. You can see that it blends seamlessly with their current donation page. It looks really nice. Now, we talked about the doorbell, the gateway, right? So St. Peter's Church provides an excellent example of how to make your donation page easily accessible to your website's visitors. They have strategically placed their donate button in two locations. So in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and then on the main page in a bright color that really stands out on their page. You cannot miss where to make a donation here. So by following this approach, you can ensure that potential givers can easily find and access your donation page, which can lead to those to that increased support for your church. And then I'm just throwing in another one here. Here's another nice example of an embedded donation form paired with some nice text right beside it. And I do want to mention, I didn't include it in this PowerPoint, but we do have language responsive forms. So if you have a community from all over the world and their browser is in Spanish, the form will translate to Spanish. So this is a really nice feature. And we do offer, I think, and Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 42 different currencies as well. So we really aim to be truly global so that you can reach your audience in the way that's right for them. Now, before we move on to Q&A and our free gift, please stick around. We do have a couple of announcements here. So first, we are so excited to introduce a new integration coming soon with Donorbox and Rock RMS. So Rock RMS is an open source church management software designed to help churches of all sizes. So with this, you can manage relationships, data, finances, and more on a unified portal. And then trusted worldwide, Rock RMS puts relationships at the center of church management. So stay tuned for more updates via email and on social about this integration. And we will be hosting another Donorbox Ministry Matters webinar on Wednesday, June 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thinking outside the giving envelope, your ministry depends on faithful giving, yet this remains one of the biggest challenges that the church faces today. So is it time to start thinking outside of the giving envelope? So you can join our fundraising coach here at Donorbox, Kara Augsburger, as she shares how churches can use many of the same donor building and communication techniques used by top nonprofits. She'll walk you through a case study of a real church that applied some key fundraising and communication principles and how they're now engaging more givers in God's work through the church. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the link for that webinar now. And we will also be sending email communications about this. So we hope that you will join us for another one. Truly, this case study is so inspirational, incredible. And now, if you will, take out your phones. We have got a QR code for you, a free gift for you. We're excited to offer you a downloadable guide, fundraising tips for faith-based organizations, packed with valuable strategies and insights to help you expand your online fundraising and bring in more of those critical gifts. So I'm going to leave the screen up for just a moment so that you can scan to download. If for some reason you're having trouble scanning this QR code, I will share on the next screen our support email, and you can reach out to us and I'll email it to you directly. All right, I'll give you just a few more seconds on that. And we're coming up into our Q&A time. We do have plenty of time. Have the questions roll in, and we've got the great privilege of having Dr. Stan with us until the top of the hour. So, all right, everyone, did you get your free guide? give me a thumbs up in the chat if you were able to download it. Thank you, Dr. Stan, and I have a special gift coming your way beyond the guide. Thanks, everyone. All right, and finally, if you are ready to cultivate a culture of generosity for your church and haven't started using Donorbox yet, I highly encourage you to sign up today. We are here to walk alongside you in this journey, and you can sign up for the standard and pro Donorbox plans at www.donorbox.org.
We'll say it's been a real honor to be here. Jenna, thank you for facilitating this. All of you, of course, are going to get a copy of this by email, which will be, I hope, a continued blessing. And if you have questions for me as well after this, I'm more than happy to field them either, by email or however you want to do that. And I think Jenna can make that information available to you as well. So God bless all of you for being a part of this. This is wonderful.
Yes. And thank you so much, Dr. Stan, for your time and talent as well. We appreciate your insights. We so value your partnership. And for everybody who logged in today, I want to thank you for all that you do for your community, and your commitment and your dedication to doing God's work in your churches and your communities and in all the world. We truly appreciate it. So again, if you would like to learn more about Donorbox, I have launched a link in the bottom left-hand corner for you to click. And you can sign up with us at donorbox.org. And you will be getting an email from me with this recording information on how to get in touch with Dr. Stan and all the lovely, all the awesome resources that we shared today. So thank you all, and thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to go heat up some hot tea, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. So God bless you all.
Amen.